There is a moment in every story where everything changes. Not gradually. Not slowly. In an instant, the world splits. In the Garden of Eden, that moment came when a woman bit into a piece of fruit. But here is what we rarely ask. What did she hear before she bit? What did the serpent actually say? If you were to open a standard Western Bible, you would find Genesis chapter 3 beginning with a simple sentence, "Now the serpent was more crafty than any other beast of the field." And then, the conversation begins. But that is not how the scroll reads. Not in the original Hebrew. In the Hebrew, the word for serpent is nachash. But nachash is not simply snake. The word shares a root with another Hebrew word, nechash, which means divination. The serpent is not merely a creature. He is a voice. A voice that speaks. And in the garden, he speaks to the woman. But here is what the translation loses. The serpent does not lie. Not exactly. Watch carefully. In Genesis 3 verses 4 to 5, the serpent says, "God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." This is the great mystery. The serpent tells the truth. He says, "You will be like God." And she was. She became like God. She gained knowledge. In the West, this is treated as the great transgression, the moment humanity fell from grace. But in the Ethiopian tradition, through the eyes of the Tewahedo scholars who copied these scrolls for 1,000 years, there is another way to read this. A way that changes everything. Now, you might ask, what can the Gaia's language reveal about a story so old, so familiar, that we think we already know it? Everything. In Hebrew, the tree is called the Etz Hadat Tavira, which translates to the tree of knowledge of good and evil. But in Gaia's, the sacred language of Ethiopia, the scholars made a choice when they copied the scrolls. A choice that speaks. The Gaia's word for knowledge is not simply a translation of the Hebrew. It is a window. The word is heg. But heg carries a deeper meaning in Gaia's. It means not just to know, but to discern. To separate. To distinguish. In the garden, the fruit was not about knowledge as information. It was about knowledge as discernment. The ability to tell good from evil. The ability to judge. And when Adam and Eve ate, they did not become evil. They became like God. They gained the capacity to judge. This is the secret the Tewahedo tradition keeps. The serpent did not deceive. He offered a gift. A terrible, beautiful gift. The gift of moral consciousness. In Gaia's, there is a word for this, hayut. Life. But not biological life. Life as discernment. Life as the burden of knowing right from wrong. The first humans were innocent. But innocence is not the same as righteousness. Animals are innocent. Only humans can be righteous. And only humans can be wicked. The serpent gave them that choice. That is the gift. That is the burden. And so we come to the moment in the garden. The woman stands before the tree. The serpent speaks. In the Hebrew, the serpent's first question is deceptively simple. Has God said, "You shall not eat of any tree of the garden"? The question is a mirror. It reflects back to the woman what she has been told by God. But also what she has not been told. God said, "You shall not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil." But God also said, "You may eat of every other tree of the garden." The serpent is not lying. He is asking her to remember the full command. To know it completely. The woman answers, "We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden." But God said, "You shall not eat of the fruit of the tree that is in the midst of the garden, neither shall you touch it, lest you die." Wait. Were God's words "lest you die"? Or were God's words dying, "you shall die"? In Hebrew, the phrase is moto vamat, the infinitive absolute. It means something like, the death you will die. Not a single moment of death. A process. A way of dying. In gay years, the word for death carries this weight. It is not an event. It is a descent. Meet. Death. Comes from the root that means to go down. The death was not instantaneous. It was a gradual separation. From the garden. From each other. From the presence of God. And then, the act. The woman takes the fruit. She eats. She gives to the man. He eats. And immediately, their eyes are opened. They know. They are like God. But here is what the Western tradition rarely emphasizes. The expulsion from the garden was not punishment for disobedience. It was consequence. God had said, on the day you eat of it, you shall surely die. And they did. Not biologically, but spiritually. They died to their innocence. They died to their seamless unity with creation. They died to the garden. In the Tewahedo tradition, the expulsion is not a fall. It is a transition. A necessary one. A child cannot leave the house until it learns to walk. A human cannot become fully moral until they understand what morality means. The garden was a womb. And they had to be born. We began this evening with a question: what did the serpent actually say? The answer is, he told the truth. He said, you will be like God. And they became like God. They gained the knowledge of good and evil. In the West, this is treated as the great catastrophe. The moment sin entered the world. But in the Hebrew Bible, in the Tanakh, in the scrolls still read in Ethiopia, there is a different reading. The woman was called Shova. In Hebrew, her name means life. Not because she was the source of life, but because she was the mother of all living. And in gay years, the word transforms. Hawa. Eve. But in the gay years tradition, Eve is not the mother of death. She is the mother of the living. She is the one who gave humanity the burden of choice. The weight of moral freedom. This is what the serpent knew. The gift he offered was not destruction. It was adulthood. But the story does not end in the garden, and in the Hebrew Bible, in the original order, the story ends in Chronicles 2, with a promise. The Lord God will raise up a king from the east. One who will rebuild the temple. Every exile has a return. Every fall has a rising. Every expulsion from the garden is a journey toward coming home. Through the eyes of the Tewahedo tradition, we see that the tree was never really closed to us. The knowledge it gave us, the ability to discern good from evil. It is the very thing that makes redemption possible. Without the knowledge of good, there can be no choosing of good. Without the burden of choice, there can be no love. This is what we offer you. Not a lecture. Not a sermon. A space. A room in the mountain where the scrolls are read in the order they were written. With the ink they were always written in. By the hands that have never stopped copying. A space where the serpent's words are heard as truth. Where the woman's name is spoken as life. The fruit was eaten, but the tree remained. We have followed the serpent's words through the ages. Through the eyes of the keepers of the mountains. Join us next time as we unroll the next scroll. Peace be with you. Next time on the Ancient Order. The blood of Abel. The first murder and the cry that still echoes. Genesis 4, through Gayer's eyes.